Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's Craig Keegan here from the Property Profits Network, and today we have Ballina Gee here, and she is an amazing lady with a fantastic story which you are going to love. And that's not even to mention what she's done professionally in her career. She has been working for a lot of not-for-profit organisations and commercial organisations in a project management basis as well. But her real interest is on social housing and making housing available to everyone. So welcome, Ballina. It's great to have you on board.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
We've actually spoken with Ballina before, and it was so good that we've got you back to have a great chat and to learn more about what you're actually doing. So are you able to give us a bit more of a rundown of what you've done in the past, please?
Oh, sure. I mean, I've worked for government for quite a number of years, but also in the asset development side of things, the strategic asset development, as well as not-for-profit, and looking at their socio-economic development structure and how they can increase that, which included asset development. What we're finding is that a lot of not-for-profits receive so much funding. However, if you look at their balance sheet, their capital assets are quite minimal. And this is a concern from a financial perspective, that in order to be financially sustainable, investing into property, if you look at the value between cash and the value of property, there's quite a big difference. And to utilise that particular asset, we've also seen in the past a lazy asset. So council, the not-for-profits, are all trying to look at their assets at the moment that are doing nothing or are not value adding to their business and creating another stream of income so that they can move away from government. So they're really looking at their asset base at the moment and how can they gain value. But from where I'm coming from, how can they gain value from a meaningful perspective so that they can impart more of the urban development, community capacity building within their asset development ethos.
So do you think that your frustrations there, are they because the government and these organisations don't have the knowledge or don't have the framework to actually progress? And is that what you're finding at this stage?
I think some of them who have gone into asset development do have a particular structure. But you have to remember, previously the housing market and the way that we developed properties was quite similar in itself, the way it's structured. Now we've got sustainable housing. And if you look around the world, how we do affordable housing, look at the tiny house movement. I mean, if you go to Amsterdam and look at South City as well, you will see the innovation that is coming place and gone into the market, which means that we should not be spending so much money in an inefficient way to develop our properties and to have people stay there. And in fact, those that stay there should not be getting the high cost of electricity and water because the buildings that they're creating are not energy efficient.
Yes. I'm a real fan of the tiny house movement myself. I think it's wonderful and so innovative. My son and I, we've been out to see an exhibition or two on the subject, and they are just amazing. And what they're doing in these houses is they're not just turning them in caravans into houses. These are actual houses, and some of them are double-storey houses even. So they are quite impressive. And you're right, they're fully environmental. They've got the solar, they've got the recycled water. They're just wonderful. They really are, the way that they're going. And now they're even doing developments of these. Down the road from me, there's one apartment block, and it's built out of containers. And they stacked up all the containers, and then they just got in there and cut them out. But these are not low-end properties either. these ones are very high-end properties that they've made out of these containers, and you'd never know from the outside that they were containers unless you'd seen them built.
And that's what's so wonderful about seeing this innovation in Australia. And what you find is around the world, people are innovating the way that we build our housing. Um, what is even more concerning is that while we have a lot of, build the next great Australian city and so forth, and you'll see cranes everywhere at the moment, you will continue to see development happen in the old structure. So trying to counteract that and offset it with new innovation models are coming in, and there are companies here in Australia that are doing it. There are startups that are about to happen that are going to bring that technology from overseas, and I've had various conversations, confidential conversations with a few people, um, bringing their technology from around the world into Australia so that we can be on par with, technology in housing that is evident as a first world country we should have.
Mm. Now, I know down here in Melbourne, over in Point Cook, they've got a number of houses that are 6-star from
Mm-hmm.
an environmental perspective. Can you see that number getting even higher as time goes on, that will reach 7-star or 8-star?
I think as innovation develops, we will see an increase in sustainable housing. But also, we are starting to see that people who are into property development and those coming in, as well as real estate, such as the reason why I started Housing with a Purpose, we're actually starting to see a movement where it's about giving back to the community and our social impact. So instead of a developer just putting a building on a piece of infrastructure, they're actually responsible for community capacity building. It's their footprint on the community, and we need to give them a greater sense of responsibility.
Mm. I, I must admit, I've had a bit of a bug about this for a number of years myself, and I've felt we subsidise the electricity system here in Victoria. And what I'd like
Mm-hmm.
to do is to take all of the subsidy for 1 year and just put it all into solar power on houses. And then the following year, take all of that money and put it into water supply for each house. And
Mm-hmm.
that's going to create industry, because then we're going to have more plumbers, more electricians, more apprentices. But it's also going to have an ongoing effect where we are going to have maintenance of those for years to come, because everything we put in requires maintenance. So it's not just sustainable from an environmental perspective or a personal perspective, but from an economic and a community perspective as well.
And that is really important when we come back to affordable housing, because we have to question, are the structures that we're currently building really affordable, or are we pitching it to a certain type of professional or family or income bracket? Um, So part of what we're trying to tap into are the different types of lending structures and the different ways that we can do that coming on board. So things about the digital open bank currency, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and also fractional investments, so that people are able to get into the market and thrive within property. So, 'cause at the moment, it's so inaccessible, apparently. But I've found people that have made it accessible. So that is really good to hear. And to have them come on board and help other people so that they can prosper in property as well.
So this fractional investing, what's that about?
Mm. So it's a bit like stocks, or when you're a shareholder of a particular company, you own a fraction of that particular company or that particular share, right? Well, you can actually do the same in property. So, for example, you might only have a certain amount of savings, but you want to get into the property market and build those savings. And this is an option for you to get into that. And it's a bit like a syndicate. You can decide how much of a fractional investment you would like to own of that particular property.
So does this mean that I don't have to go to a bank and borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars to
Yeah,
get into
that's
the
right.
property?
Correct, correct. And
Right.
so there are a couple of companies doing that at the moment through different platforms. You can actually, what they're doing now and within outside of the online platform, and it's been going on for many years within the multicultural community. So they have a lot of multicultural macro financing that happens within their own circles. So they'll put together different families that come together with a certain amount of money. They say, okay, we're going to have this much of that particular property, and that's the agreement. So they'll come up with a private structure. What we're moving towards is more of an online platform to do that, where you can invest with people that you don't know, but are under a platform of trust.
Okay. Well, that sounds excellent from an affordability perspective for people to get into
Mm-hmm.
the property market. But there is a difference between investing and housing as well.
Yes, yes,
So
there is.
are you able to give us a bit more information about this housing with a purpose you've mentioned? What's that
Um,
organisation?
so housing with a purpose is we look for certain ways and solutions to tackle the pressing issues within the housing and infrastructure market. And so we take on a bit of an innovative view, but also a co-creation and partnership view to work with companies in order to um, increase their assets. So one at the moment we're working towards is in Queensland with the Aboriginal housing. We looked at certain structures and told them that what you're currently doing is on homelessness, for example. And the problem with this is that that is the outcome of an issue that happened at the start. So if you can design your housing to be more about health and research, and maybe you're there for an acute state for these people, and then co-partner with research companies and medical companies so that we're dealing with um, the root cause of why people are homeless, um, and, and, and give them the tools so they can get out of that homelessness. So we're looking at a build at the moment for them to create that vision that they would like to see. What we are struggling with, and what I'm finding also, is that the normal funding structures don't support that type of thinking. It's actually the private investors that do support that as philanthropy, because they see that as innovative. And even though the figures come through as very positive, an income stream as well, because you need to also create a social enterprise and a social business for these types of not-for-profits. Um, the whole idea of people saying, oh well, you should just go to government and get the grant or get the funding. And it's like, but we're trying to get out of that. We want them to be self-determined, and we want them to be able to fund their own investments by with other people and not rely on government. So that's what we're trying to get out of, and helping other companies match them with investors who have a social heart.
Okay. So this one in Queensland, when you've got that right and up and running, does it
Mm.
become a case study for you that you can then deploy that in other areas as well?
Yes, yes, that's one of the case studies we're looking at. And we're using modular systems for that particular build with a company down in Melbourne. So they're customizing it so it matches the DA. And from that, we can build it in a couple of
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
weeks. It's very impressive and it's affordable. If you look at doing the same kind of structure in a normal type of build, you're looking at very high expense. It takes longer to do, and it requires more people. So it's a very inefficient way of how we're building.
So it's all prefabbed, I assume.
Yep, some of them are prefab. These ones, because it's a custom design, is yeah, it's put together for us,
Okay.
so the custom design.
Because, yes, I know there's an organisation up in Wangaratta and they're doing prefabbed out of recycled plastic. Just extraordinary what Australians are doing out there at the moment.
It is extraordinary, and I think it's very important that as a society we support this kind of movement. And if we're looking at creating a development, or maybe flipping a property, or extending a property, let's look at different ways of doing that, very innovative ways that look after our country, and look after our land instead of hurting it, but also be affordable to our pocket line.
And does vendor financing fit into this at all? Is this one of the strategies that you're using?
Vendor finance can come into the equation depending on the vendor, but I work with other people who specialise in that area. So it might be an option, and it also depends on the owner of that property if they feel comfortable with it. So yeah, vendor finance has happened for quite a number of years, but again, it goes back to is is the developer actually developing the property in an economic way and a sustainable way, and not cutting corners as well.
Right. So it seems to me as though you're open to a lot of different strategies, provided it achieves the end result of with a purpose, the housing with a purpose.
Correct, and we make sure that the people we work with and the companies we work with go through. It's a bit like a rigorous interview. We look at their stats. We look at also their culture, how they treat their employees. We look at their innovation models. We have discussions with them because we want to make sure that the values are aligned. Because when we work with clients to solve their social issues, or to help them give back to the community through infrastructure, we want to make sure that we're with people that we can trust, because our clients are not like our paid clients, our customers. They're actually our allies. They're actually helping us co-create this particular property investment for social impact.
And do the end clients actually have input into this process at all?
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
do you see the problem, then have a bit of a think tank on how to resolve it, and then get the people in and say, here's your solution? Not the way it works?
That's not the way it works, actually. Sometimes we find that the clients have a vision, and from that vision we take it into how do we take that vision to implement. And along the stage, if that vision aligns with our ethos for social impact investment, then we will certainly work with them. If it does not align, then they're not the right allies for us. That can happen, but we wouldn't be the best people to facilitate that.
Okay. Almost
So, like for example, sorry.
No, please keep going.
For example, companies looking at blockchain and digital currency, and how can we look at, especially millennials getting into the market. They might not have the fiscal banking system, funds, but they'll have digital funds. And how can we get them into the market? And it could be a mixture of both. So, yeah, it's about us exploring with their personal circumstances. Um, so that's one way of doing it. Another way is to find um, lenders that we've got, and different kinds of agreements where sometimes you can get into the market now off the plan in Sydney for the price of a new car. So, you know,
Wow.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome. But what happens is, because these deals are so innovative and so like too good, people question it, even though they've gone through vigorous, you know, research and looking at them. Um, and one of them who will be speaking, well, a lot of them will be speaking at my event on the 26th of September, has actually helped 6,000 average people get into the Sydney market. Sydney market. And he's very passionate. I mean, he's a billionaire, so he could just, retire. He doesn't have to do what he's doing. But not only is he helping regular people get into the market, he he didn't like the banking system, so he created his own bank. That's
That'd
great.
be nice.
And I was like, yeah, I, I know. So he has his own bank that works with other banks, and he makes sure that they get the right deal. And he puts through a platform to protect his allies, his clients, but also provides employment to people who want to get to help build their own portfolio and help other people build their portfolio. So he will be speaking, and he contributes quite a lot to the Australian GDP in the property area. Um, so yeah, very excited for him to come on board, and he's very passionate about not-for-profits to the point where he's saying, well, I don't understand why government gives so much, which, that's fine, but you've got to get to a stage that, after 30 years of government handouts, are you really financially sustainable? Are you actually investing your money wisely? And he's, yeah, his platform is able to facilitate that and help them, get onto that road of prosperity like what he's done for, the average Joe. So that's one of them. It's quite exciting. The other one is coming um, from the UK, and she's the only Australian representative on the Digital Online Banking Forum, which is linked to the World Bank. And she will announce and let us know what the lending is actually going to be. I just want to think of this. But yeah, he's going to share what lending is going to look like. And let me tell you, I am really excited. If you want to hear, this kind of innovation, this kind of affordable housing, I wish I could explain it, but it's not my knowledge and my wisdom and my expertise to do so. And I'd rather share them and put them on a platform so that others can hear it. And question, it's an intimate symposium because I want it to be that way. I want people to ask questions. I want them to get to know these speakers and so that their wisdom becomes our wisdom. So this is like just phenomenal.
So you just slipped in a date there of that you've got this, just slipped it in there. Can you say that again, and this time we'll pick up on it a bit more carefully? What have you done?
Okay, so it's called Property Investment for Social Impact. It's a decision making symposium, and it's really pitched at those who are not for profit organisations, investors with a heart, financial services, and innovators who really want to look at different ways. It could be helping your clients out, or different ways of thinking in terms of your own business and what you can offer. So that is happening the afternoon of the 26th of September from 1 to 5 at Chartered Accountants AZ here in the city on Erskine Street.
In Sydney.
In Sydney. Yes.
Yes.
I have been asked, when are you coming to Western Australia? When are you coming to Melbourne? Yeah, people have asked me, when are you coming? Which, I would love to, but we have to start somewhere. And, and hopefully with the events coming through and feedback, because it's all about the feedback from people, what they want to see, and what kind of speakers they want, and the opportunities as well. So that's what we're looking at. And you never know, I might be there.
Are there any vacancies left for the Sydney presentation?
There are a few vacancies left. There are vacancies. So definitely come on board. It's on the 26th. And I think at the moment, we've had a lot of interest. And with something so innovative, but at the same time, really tackles your thinking and perception, people need to absorb what the event is all about first before, coming in and buying a ticket. That ticket price, all proceeds, go to Housing with a Purpose as well as Oz Harvest. Because we figured that with the homelessness space, Oz Harvest do a fantastic job of feeding the homeless. There's no doubt about it. But we do have to look at, okay, how do we take that feeding the homeless to now giving infrastructure so that they have a home?
Absolutely.
So that's where we decided Oz Harvest would be best for us to contribute to their charity.
Oh, fantastic. We will put all those details at the end of the presentation, so people don't have to write it all down now. We'll put it all in at the end, okay, so you won't be forgotten. And Ballina won't just slip it in and let us hang there for a while. But I have got something that I wanted to show you. Just one sec. Now, you were talking before about your friend that had a bank. Well, I wanted to get this out for you. So I've got my own bank as well. And I hold it in a CD container. So, are we playing in different leagues here, are we?
Might be, but if that was actually of bullion, that is a good investment.
Oh, well.
You know, that is part of the system. So, if it was bullion, congratulations, good on you. If it was the
Excellent.
pocket coins, I'm very hungry.
So what are the bottlenecks to you getting these housing with a purpose and social impact housing done? What are the issues that you're facing there and preventing you from moving forward? You've said that it's the traditional banking. You've also hinted that you can't always take government funding. What else can we help you with that can break through some of these bottlenecks for you?
Oh, I think from what I can see around the world, it's really about people coming together to co-create. You know, we do it normally with, if you're a social philanthropist, for example, you might say, I've only got 5,000, but I want to use that to add value, and I want a win-win situation now. So I really prefer to deal with people who have a heart, and usually the solution comes from the collective. It doesn't come from one person, it doesn't come from one organisation. And if we work together on things, on different projects or different initiatives, and really tee up, you know, this this whole network, like what you're doing. You've got a network of people that you've made sure are ethical, values driven, are creating wealth, but also with a ethos that takes care of their clients, and it's not about greed. It's that kind of network that I really feel will change this whole industry. And a lot of the corporates, even the big four, like I've talked to people taking in Williams, Deloitte, and which is why we're having an event at Chartered Accountants NZ. Because from all the discussions over many years, and I used to work at Chartered Accountants NZ, is that these corporate big heads have a heart actually, and they want to give back. I mean, they want to be able to create value, but at the same time, they want to make sure that that value isn't taken advantage of. So when I give money, I want to make sure that each cent, each what you're doing, has gone somewhere valuable and it's not wasted. Um, when I did question, what about the administration fees? Did you pay for the administration fees? Like somebody has to work it. They were happy as long as we are really looking at our financial sustainability model, as long as we've got rigor within that model and we can look at the outcomes. So if we can meet those outcomes efficiently and productivity wise, we can get their support. And there's a lot of excess. So we've got people wondering, what am I supposed to do with all this money? And so I'm saying, well, you know, we can help you do that, but at the same time, you need to have a heart for what we're doing because it needs to be aligned. So we're not just going to take any money because we're throwing it out.
Okay. So the bottlenecks, as far as what I'm gathering there, are not... You're prepared to take on people with money, skills, vision, and motivation. So you're quite happy to take people on from all different fields, provided they have the ethics, the moral stance, and the desire to produce sociable outcomes for the community.
Yeah, I think so, because if you look at, working from government and not-for-profit, if you look at the tender process as well, what you will find is that it's, the big companies that keep driving, or, that kind of stuff. They don't look at these, and this is why you've got all this innovation. I mean, I'm at the New South Wales Startup Hub, just to let you know, doing this interview, and you've got fantastic people innovating all over the place. But they're not the big hot shots, not yet. But they can do amazing things and they can create the outcomes. And so we have the old Australian saying about giving somebody a go, and this is about giving people a go, but getting all together because they do have the skill set, they do have the heart, they do know how to do the stuff, and it could be one segment of the project, but collectively they can all get it done.
You're
I mean,
not concerned.
it's activity based.
Yeah, you're not concerned about developing a committee mentality at all.
No, no, because what you find is in the innovation area, it's very fluid, it's very dynamic. It's not let's take these minutes and we'll get together. And we haven't done anything until the last week before we get together 3 months later anyway. So, so because there's so much transparency using systems now, you're very transparent as to what's going on, what activities are happening. You've got threads happening all over the place. You know, where am I up to? Okay, this is the bottleneck. I've just stumbled upon. I can't get the funding for this. Do you have any contacts? And that's where we feed into your network as well, because again, it's trustworthy sources, and people are more fearful because they don't trust, not because they can't do.
I love the answer to that question that I asked. I think you answered that question in the first 2 seconds, and it was all in your tone. It was no. And I think just the honesty and the sincerity that you portrayed in that sigh answered the entire question perfectly. I really do. So that was wonderful.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's move on down the track. It is
Uh-huh.
2018 today.
Uh-huh.
I don't imagine that you're a flash-in-the-pan type person. So let's take me down to 2030. Where are we going to be in 2030? What's your vision of Australia and this area of expertise?
Oh, that urban planning and property development becomes meaningful and responsible for the community, the health of the community, and that property investment and people getting to the market, that there is more people who become owners, more people that become investors every day. Um, Even if it's minuscule. I mean, if you look at the slums in India when they put through blockchain, people started to feel like they owned the community, and it actually transformed that particular community. So, growing up in, housing commission house and low economic, environment, um, it wasn't just about the mindset, it was also the resources available to me to help me put the mindset, the heart, and my resources together. Because you find that they are the best people that know how to really save because they've got so little to make use of, you know. And so they are much more mindful of making sure that there's no wastage.
Mm.
So it's just enabling people and uplifting them. I would love to see a nursing home that is so lively and thriving and it's a fantastic place. I would love to see clinics like people who might be terminally ill and instead of being on a bed waiting to pass away, it just helps them live their life. I would love to see a place where people who suffer from domestic violence or getting out of domestic violence and family situations, and instead of going to a shelter or a refuge, they're going to a home that says, hey, you've made the right decision. This is the start of your new life, and making it a wonderful place for them to step up and thrive. Um, I would love to see culturally appropriate infrastructure, especially for our Indigenous communities. Getting them involved instead of them building a colonial house, get them involved in the whole architecture about what it is for them to build their own infrastructure, their own house for their culture. I would love to see a smart city, actually, that's multicultural.
Well, if anybody can do it, I know Australia can, because we are
Australia.
multicultural and we have the innovative gene to actually get out there and do that. So I think you're right. 2030, that will be us. I
I
really
think
hope so.
the world will be looking to us, you know. So, and also, can I just say, with the drought as well, I would love to see that farmers have the infrastructure and technology to not have to suffer from a drought. And there is infrastructure right now, and one coming from the Netherlands, where the greenhouses are built with this elasticity fabric. So it actually changes depending on the environment automatically. And they've done it in Arab nations, they've done it in South Africa. Um, and I look at that and I think we could be doing that here. And there's so much technology out there that we could actually be helping our farmers grow agriculture that doesn't rely so much on our declining resources, but will actually uplift them. So I would love to see our agricultural area and our farmers thriving.
Well, I have to agree with you there. I'm afraid I lack the vision to actually see how that will occur. Australia is just such a extraordinary and ridiculous place. We're so flat and so low. We have droughts one day and literally the next day we have floods. So if the plants aren't getting confused, I know the farmers do, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it would be wonderful that if any kind of innovation can happen in that space to help our farmers.
They'll
I
need little floaties on the plants, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's great. Now, we've got a seminar coming up, what, in 2 weeks, 10 days.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we better get that out there and get people to onto that. We'll get all the details at the end of this for you. And
Mhm,
we'll also get some details for your organisation, the Housing with a Purpose as well. And
mhm.
love to get people involved with that. Is just for anybody on the call that doesn't have the innovation, the funds, how can they help you with this project? Is it just a simple
Oh,
matter
okay.
of share the link and get it out to the people that do?
I think share the link, but also give feedback as to why. What is the situation? What's going on? Yeah, because what I'm finding is we need to deal with real people. When you don't hear, like we hear the things that are, oh yeah, it was great, congratulations, blah blah blah. So what we also want to hear is like what's not working in your world. That's not based on this thick report. We want to hear real life stories, and then hopefully we can tee up some, problem solvers as to can we actually help, can we deal with the situation based on these real life stories. And that's what happens with hackathons for social impact, with things like disruptive handbook and what the lawyers are doing as well. Um, it's, it's about, and NCOS as well, looking at social impact, and they need live stories and case studies so that we can solve for the real person.
Well, I think I'll throw my hand up to give you a hand on that one. So I'm definitely in for that one. You know a bit about me. You know where I came from. That
Mm.
yes, I ended up due to domestic violence, I ended up in a hostel and looked after
Mm.
the salvos and put into housing and all of this sort of stuff. I've been there and done that. I've lived in caravans for many, many years as we've moved around the country. So I do have quite an understanding of some of your clients and their
Mhm.
situation. So I'll stick my hand up, Eleanor, I really will, to help you out.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
well,
think it's really
thank you.
important.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I know that people are going to get on board and book in for the
Yes,
seminar.
book in.
And
Looking for the seminar.
book in for the Melbourne one as well. Just put your comments down below. I'm really not against lobbying people and pressuring people to come down and give us some help down here. So if you want Ballina and her Brains Trust to come down to Victoria, or where else was it? Up to Brizzy? Over to WA?
Yes.
Stick it in the comments below. Put a little pressure on her.
I know. I mean, it gives me time to go on the hunt for wonderful people that can contribute and share their wisdom, but also to co-create things because they're passionate and they want to help. And I think if we all get to do that together, I think we can solve quite a lot of things.
Well, let's do it together then, shall we?
We'll
Beautiful.
do. Thank you so much, Craig.
Thank you, Ballina. Appreciate it.